Welcome to the Once Blind Podcast. Your host, Carlos.
Hey, welcome back, guys. This is Once Blind. You already know. I wanted to do, and I think I gave you the fair warning before, one on guilt trip giving, where the churches and radio stations and so on and so forth guilt you into giving. So this is separate from when I did the whole name it and claim it, the whole scriptures that people take out. I don't think I've done one yet on how the churches, or at least certain churches, will try to teach how you give God and God gives you 100 and, you name it and then money. It's not that sense of where we're going with this. This is using guilt. And why? So, depending where you're at, everyone has Christian radio stations. I don't know your Christian radio station. I know the one that we have here, the famous one that we have here in Jersey. And we have other ones. K-Love comes into play here. We have, The Bridge is another one that goes on here. And then you have Star 99.1. The Star, which belongs to the church, Zarephath. I don't know how famous it is. It's a pretty seeker-friendly, big church. The pastor there is definitely not bad in the sense of bad teachings. Tends to be more in the seeker-friendly, no one can do any wrong type of thing. Let's bring in everyone so that we have a lot of tithers. No, so they belong to the church, but I believe that they don't. The church supposedly doesn't give the radio station any money, but it does belong to it. It comes out of that area, out of that church, and it's famous. And every year, so again, I don't know what it's like in your places, but I'm using this radio station as the example. And whether they like it or not, I don't care, because the facts are the facts. So this radio station, every year or every couple months, they will throw they call it something and share, whatever. It's not that I don't listen to a radio station, because sometimes I don't have, the different audio forms for me to listen to music to through my phone and stuff like that. So I got to listen to the radio, and it's either Spanish music, hip hop, or Christian music. So I tend to go to the Christian music. Not everything that they play on there is my flavor. Again, not that the music's bad, it's my flavor. But the one thing that every single time it comes on boils my blood, really, really gets me. And it's a tactic that you've seen on telethons. It's a tactic that you've seen in a lot of these churches that we all talk about. Hey, they're only out for your money. And then we wonder why the world thinks that the church only wants your money. But it's this tactic of guilting people to giving, or trying to trick them, right? So one of the tactics that they use, and I was hearing this the other day, and I swear if it wasn't that I was in a company vehicle, I would have probably ripped out the radio and thrown it out. Yes, I get angry. They start by saying, someone donated $1,500, but they didn't donate it. They didn't donate it completely. What they said is if in the next 3 songs, you can get people to pay up to $1,500, they will double it. Oh my God. Okay. Maybe that's true. Maybe. The first song goes on, right? Oh my God, the first song is over, guys, and we have had no calls. Second call. A couple people have called, but nobody gave. Like, why would people call a telethon or whatever thon you want to call this and not give anything? So we're at 0. And then the third song plays, and oh my God, everybody, we're only $100 down from getting all $1,500. Please give. What? Why? You have commercials. You have commercials. Don't say you don't. You do have commercials. We're only a sponsored radio station and blah blah. No, you have that already. You have commercials. You also have a huge church attached to you. I don't know how that church doesn't have its own zip code, but they are attached to you. Your pastor lives in a mansion. How are they not giving you money for the station? And then, okay, you want to ask for money. You want people. Don't get it twisted. A lot of these places, the Bridge, the K-Love, which comes all the way from Cali all this way, the Philadelphia one, all the ones that I know of, right? Because you listen to them through whatever platform. They've all asked for money. Hey, we're trying to get a new antenna. Hey, blah, 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 trying to do this. Hey, we're trying to expand. We're trying to this. We're trying to that. This is what's going on. If you'd like to give, blah, blah, blah. Podcasters. Oh, go to Patreon. Sponsor me. So-and-so. Sponsor me. Right? Blah, blah, blah. They all have them. And even some of those secular ones will try to say, hey, this is the only way I got to eat. I'm hungry, pay. Like... We're supposed to be above that. We're supposed to believe that where God sends, God provides, right? We that's what the Bible kind of teaches, right? God's going to send, he's going to provide. He tells them not to go, when they go out 2 and 2, not to take things with them, that it will, it says in the Bible that God will feed the sparrows, right? And the birds and so on and so forth and yada, 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 like God will provide. So it's okay if you're going to ask, but why do you have to use the tactic of trying to trick people or use their guilt against them? God, so I've started listening to this radio station and my life was horrible and blah, blah, blah. And I was this and I was that. Can you please, I need this radio station. Give. We need you to give. And all these, if you believe in miracles, you would pay. If you believe in God, you will pay. And oh my goodness, are you kidding me? It's bad enough to hear it on a radio station. It's even worse to hear it in the church. And then it's the twisting of scriptures so that they can make their message even more powerful, right? If you don't provide for your home, you're worse than an infidel. And this is your home church. How are you not going to provide? My man, I live in a house this big. You live in a mansion. Maybe you should provide for me. Hook me up, bro. Okay, I need, okay, I got 8 kids. Like, I need, okay, I got to feed 10 people in my house. Well, 9 people in my house. I got to feed them. Help me out. Why are you guilting me to giving you the last 2 pennies I got? Why? And plus, why do I feel like I'm giving it to you and not to the church or not to God? I don't feel like I'm tithing here. I feel like I'm paying for that Mercedes you're driving. Like, wake up. But it's the guilt trip and it's the putting it on people. Hey, and oh my God, I hated it. And you know what the worst part is? It's either that or Hot 97 over here. Like, La Mega has gone so, either way, I'm not going to go into the whole liberalization of the radios. What I am going to say is, so listen, when I turn into a Christian station, I either want to listen to Good Word, which quite frankly, I would never turn into Star 99.1 for Good Word. Just wouldn't do it. But maybe some eventual good Christian music, old school worship, stuff like that, which is funny. You only call yourself a Christian radio station when you're begging for money. But throughout the whole time, no, we're a family radio station. We're a feel-good radio station. But when you need money, that Christian label comes out quicker than whoo. So, and I'm listening to it, right? So that's part of the guilt trip, right? Then they'll go into other things where I have segments of people who used to listen to the station and it really helped them and they came to, and listen, Christian music will do that. Anything Christ related will do something like that. And hey, I'm glad that God used the radio station. I'm glad. But here's the thing. Why am I going to pay you when you're attached to things? And it's not that I'm opposed to giving either. I remember when I first started listening to this radio station and they were having this thing, I had the conversation with my lady about, hey, maybe, we can, do the yearly subscription thing and give them whatever amount they want, through the year. It's only a small payment through the month. But as I listened to the way they were trying to get this money, I just got frustrated. I was like, no, I'm not going to be made to feel guilty to give. The Bible says be a cheerful giver, not to give begrudgingly, right? I think that's the word in English. Not to do so. Why am I going to give to you out of, oh, goodness gracious, I got to give you money? No. Stop trying to sucker people into filling your pockets. That's not right. And you pervert and use the name of God to fill your pocket. And then you use my human emotion of guilt within me and within all these people. For what? For what? If that's what you have to resort to, let the radio station go. Let it go. My son somewhere is crawling in his skin every time he hears let it go. But either way, so what I'm going to say is, whenever you're at a church, listening to something, and they're making you feel guilty and why you have to give, right? Run. Don't feel guilty. Don't give out of guilt. Don't. Because if you're one of those people that give to God because you think you're going to receive, which, by the way, is not biblical in the sense of you're going to become a millionaire, yeah, it's not going to happen. Okay, if that's why you're doing it. Now, listen, if you want to give and accept the spiritual blessings that come with giving, okay, it feels good to give. I mean, that's an awesome blessing in itself, how it gives you genuine joy to be able to help someone out, then go for it. But don't feed into this guilt trip things, because giving in guilt, you might as well not give at all. You might as well not. But either way, run from these tactics. And for you so-called churches, if you listen to this, I'm a nobody. I don't expect Star 99.1 to actually listen into this and be like, oh, snap, maybe we need to change the way we ask for things, yada, yada, yada. I don't expect that, okay? And I don't want it. That's between them and God. I'm bringing it to the attention of the fact that plenty of places do this. It is a form of spiritual abuse to use someone's emotions, like guilt, which is an emotion, to fleece them, right? Where we talked about in the couple episodes ago and the last episode about, we are supposed to feed the flock. We're not supposed to fleece the flock, which came from Papa Chuck. So, and actually it probably came before him. But either way, what happens and what continues to happen with radio stations like this is then the world listens to it. And then they're like, wow, look at that. Money, money, money. They want money. They're trying to make me feel bad so that I give them money. They're trying to trick me. It's literally a hustle. It's a hustle. It reminds me, right, being that I come from the hood, it reminds me of the drug addict, the crackhead, that comes up to you and says, hey, man, you think I can have $1 so I can buy my kids some milk? Because my kids don't have milk. I need $1. Right, and most of the time, they don't want $1 for milk. That's what it reminds me of. Or the guy, there was this one guy that, and this kind of shows my age, or at least how young I was when they would approach me for money. Hey, I got this VCR, man. I'm going to sell it for like $2. And for those of you that don't know what VCRs are, right? Because I think a lot of my listeners are like my age and a little bit older. For those of you that don't know what a VCR is, imagine a DVD player, right? With bigger cassettes. But either way, so I'll get, it's $2, and then you give me $1 now, and I'll come back and I'll bring the other one, and hey, everything will be good. You have VCR, $2, man. Like, that was the hustle. That was the hustle. And that's what they're doing. Hey, give God $1 today, and tomorrow he'll give you whatever. Hey, I don't have any milk. I don't have this. I don't have that. And hey, they're going to turn off the lights here. We need your money. Help, help, help. And granted, maybe they're asking or guilting people into money because they're going to put it into what they actually say, into the radio station. Okay, good. You got to pay the salaries, yada, yada, yada. Maybe they're not paying enough because they lost a lot of their morning people. So maybe they just want to be able to pay more. Right? Whatever. Why not just ask? Be honest. Be honest. Actually, one of the things, like when the bridge was trying to get a bigger antenna, I don't know if they got it or not. Actually, I know a lot of the inside stuff to that antenna, and I'm not going off on that. No. But it was asked for. Hey, we're trying to get an antenna. We're trying to reach bigger places and farther places in this tri-state area. this is how much the incentive is going to be. We're at this point. Let's see if we can get it. Now, it's not like they put up a thermometer so that they can throw it in people's faces. It wasn't mentioned every single Sunday. The radio station mentioned it maybe once or twice, let's say 5 tops throughout the whole 24 hours in a day. It wasn't an every minute thing. Granted, I didn't listen to it all the time because I only liked like 10% of the teachers on there. But from the times that I've heard, I didn't hear about it over and over and over again. I didn't hear guilt trip like, hey, you guys aren't Christian if you're not blah, blah, blah. And that's the thing. So like in listening to this the other day and reminding me of every single time they do this. And it almost seems like it used to be once a year and now it's like every other month. And hey, we got to make up this different amount. Like, come on, people. Stop using God's name to pervert things. Stop doing it. Stop. Like, don't you have any inclination of like, yo, like God's going to hold us accountable for this? And the only reason that I say it with such care, because I actually don't dislike you the rest of the time. Yeah, you say a lot of fluffy Christianity stuff that it's more New Ageism than Christianity. But it's not like I don't like you, because people who are into that will tune in and whatever's whatever. Whatever. But when I hear the guilt trip given and you guys using these worldly tactics in the name of God, it's like, how dare you pervert God's name like that? You have any I don't know the word. It's vergüenza in Spanish. And vergüenza could be embarrassment, this and that, but aren't you embarrassed? No. So yeah, some of you might get that, but I know my lady, when she watches this, she will. But you should be embarrassed. Like, that's kind of like, if you need to be like, oh God, I can't believe I did that. I can't believe I'm part of this. But let's face it. When you're out there begging for money and acting like you're guilting people into it, you're not in it for God. You don't want God's work to continue. You want your job to continue. And it's funny because they will hire people who are normally not there, but you can tell that are really good at begging and asking for money, or really good in guilt tripping. Oh, Lord. So this was after 9/11. There was a pilot who crash landed into the Hudson. And people survived, right? That happened, right, on one of the days that they were having these money begging episodes or money begging days or whatever, because they do it for like a week. It happened in one, and the goal, man, if you believe in miracles and you believe that God is still working today like he did in that plane, they would want you to give, and you should give, because if you believe that God can do things like this, then you would give. And then he never went back to it. Like, that didn't make any sense for me, but it definitely impacted me in such an emotional way, anger being an emotion, that I still remember that, like, even a non-Christian would give. What? Why are you comparing me to them? And you're saying that they would, so because I'm Christian, I have to prove to you I'm Christian by giving? Because I'm better than a non-Christian? Wait, what? And that's quite frankly why I kind of stopped tuning in as much. And it's funny because the day I do tune in, that's going on. I wonder if it's on every day now. And I just don't know it. Either way. So maybe there's a radio station like that in your areas. Most of my listeners are outside of New Jersey. So maybe there is. Maybe you know what I'm talking about. And maybe it angers you too. And maybe you're more graceful than I am, There are certain pastors that are going to grace people all the way to hell. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. So, it's things like that we as Christians have to watch out for. But we also need to know how to approach things like that if we are in a church that is trying to guilt trip and give. And it's very easy to deal with. It's get out. Go somewhere else. I don't care how famous that pastor is or how good you think he is as a teacher, if he's trying to use that mentality or trying to use that emotion against you so that they can line their pockets. I remember a different church. I wasn't a member there. I was invited to go to a young adults thing because at some point in my life, I was a young adult. Years ago, but I was a young adult. So I was invited, and it was, again, for like college age people. And it was, I mean, I already knew the church was very seeker friendly. I already knew that they were ticklers of ears. They did more of this new age philosophy rather than actual Christianity. They were all about, give me so that God can give you. It was interesting because they had a very beautiful, beautiful coffee shop as soon as you walked in. And it's big. Like, you could see this sucker from the highway. And I think they changed their name now to something else so that, what people already knew about them changes because, the name changes. And the pastor died. So I go to this young adults thing. And it's like, all right, cool. A friend of mine, DJ One Way, was actually the DJ for this young adults. Yes, they had a DJ. And while, they played music and people would kind of sing along and so on and so forth, you thought you were going to get a message, something that would, impact a young adult. Because right now, what people don't realize, the most unreached age group is the 20s to mid 30s. Most of them are walking away from their faith because they weren't trained up, or they come into this new world and they're like, trying to indulge in a lot of things that before they were told no to. A lot of them see the falsehood in their parents, and then they see the falsehood in other people. So their relationship was superficial. So once they're out in their own, they don't want to continue to the facade. And then there's not people willing to talk to them and be honest. Let's face it. I mean, this generation of youth today isn't the strongest. There's a lot of emotional baggage that they have to deal with, being medicated for anything and everything, all these things, right? I don't want to get too deep into that because that's a conversation in itself. But we're not dealing with actual Christians having the goals to actually talk to them straight up and telling them how they need Jesus. They're the most unreached for a reason. Let's put it that way. And here I am going to a young adult thing. And the first thing, after we sing a couple songs, right, because everyone has that cookie cutter formula, he starts giving a pre-message prayer. And why I call it that is because obviously he's not praying to God. He's using the facade of praying to God while giving us a message about how we need to give. These are college kids, right? That's what you're assuming. They're college level. They're probably going to college, meaning they're broke. So you want them to give the last dollar. But, he's using the whole, if you give, and God, I know that your word said, so if I give you, Lord, you will give me 100-fold. You will give me 7-fold. You will take care of me. I want that Bentley. Maybe he didn't mention Bentley, but I want this. And all I got to do is give you, Lord, and I got to manifest. And Lord, this is your words. Obviously it wasn't, but either way. And then you're like, oh, okay, cool. Then he goes into the message, right? Now, again, you're knowing your audience, right? Because I like churches that teach expository, which means straight through. I don't like topical where they jump around. And not that I don't like it. It's the dangers with topical. It's, some people nitpick what they want and they throw it out there and it's not necessarily Bible. And unless you're actually a person who reads the Bible, you're not going to catch on, and all of a sudden you're going to believe something that's not necessarily true. And once you put your faith in that and you find that it's not true, it's very damaging to your relationship with Christ, because no one ever blames the person. They always blame Christ. But anyway, oh my goodness. So his topical message just happened to be about giving and how you need to give God in order to receive God, that you receive from God. Okay. And even that you have to give to receive God. Like, that's one of the evidences that you belong to God is how much you give the church. So the more you give, the more you believe. Wow. And again, I mean, imagine yourself being a young 20s, early 30s, whatever, and you're like, I really believe in God, and I want God to know that I believe in Him. So, maybe I won't pay light, and I'll pay this, and then you know what, God is going to give me 100-fold. So out of that 100-fold of what I gave, I can pay light, gas, and okay, yeah, this works for me, man. This is a good deal. Deal or no deal, this is a good deal. And it's sad. It's very sad that we do this, and not we as in us, but the church as a collective. It's very sad that they do it because, I wouldn't accept that anywhere that I go. And, I would never do that. I have more of the mentality, look, you want to give. You don't. Doesn't bother me. It's like whatever. People do podcasts for likes and whatever. I'm not here to guilt trip anyone. Please, you're not liking my stuff. No, I don't. This isn't what this is about. Do I appreciate, hey, when someone encourages me with a like or a comment? Absolutely. I mean, that's the whole point of conversation, right? That's why I like them, because it's like, oh, this is going to start something, a conversation. Maybe a couple other people join in. Maybe I'll add something. It's like, oh, cool, community. We're having conversation. But to sit here and be like, if you guys don't like, my third child's going to get leg problems and his toes are going to fall off. You need to like it. Like, come on. Seriously. And yes, I know I'm being exaggerating and yada, 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 but that's what it feels like. Like that's how you think of us. We're just something for you to fleece and get every single dollar. Okay. And that's another thing. Even on this, like one person wants to give 5. Well, can't you give more? And it's funny because when it's a woman they're talking to, won't your husband allow? Like now, like, whoa. But this is the stuff that's out. And it's not only, listen, I don't want Star 99 one to think that I'm saying only you do it. I know that you're just following someone else's method. You probably have this one person come in, hey, teach us how to make more money off of people. I get it. It's not just you. I'm sorry that you're the only ones that I've been paying attention to. Sorry. But I've heard, Cruffle Dollar, TD Jakes, Joyce Mayer, and all these messages of when they're asking for money. I can't talk about these people if I don't listen to what they're teaching. So I know the methods. I've seen the methods. And the only method that we've mentioned, and there's plenty of others to go off on, but this guilt trip giving thing is one of the most effective ways, because you're going against someone's emotions, especially guilt. The things we would do to ease our guilt is incredible. This is kind of why it's one of the, best working methods. I wish it would stop. And only for the sense of God's name's sake. You got to remember, right? So I'm the guy who read the Old Testament, right? And read it for what it was. God did not bless the Jews because they were the chosen people. God blessed them for his name's sake. Read it. Anytime David talked to God about something going on or God doing something, he said, for your name's sake. Like, God will not diminish his name. And he will not allow his name to be diminished if he's, in the midst of it. This is why they won the wars the way they did. This is why the miracles, because there was no denying that God did it. Like, that's what it is. It's God. Now, we may try very hard to diminish his name. And even if we do diminish his name will never lose value. So I don't think that's what I'm saying. God is God, and he is high, and he is the most high and King of kings, so on and so forth. Like that's never going to change. And I read that and I read that and I read that and I see like the biggest mistake is that every time the Jews perverted themselves, every time they went after idols, every single time, and they needed to be punished for going and diminishing the name of God, right? And I seen it and I read it. It puts a healthy fear in me, right? The fear of God, right? That whole thing, that reverence in me, like, yo, like, I don't want to do that. Go against God's name? Pervert God's name for my own gain? Are you crazy? I'm not messing with the most powerful dude. Well, sorry, guy, I know you're not a dude, but you get what I'm saying. I am not messing with the high of highs, right? I'm not messing with God. I'm not. He created everything with a word. And he probably can destroy all things with a word as well. You know, he's created such a place for those that go against. I don't want to mess with that guy. I don't want to mess with him. No. God, no. That's one person I don't want to play with. And you guys have some stones, man, to think that you're going to play with God and you're not going to be held accountable. I don't get it. Like, I really don't get it. It needs to stop for your sake, not for me. I'm probably not going to listen to you for like another 2-3 months, if that. Okay, unless I forget my phone or something. I'm not going to. So it doesn't mean anything to me. But for your own soul's sake, for your own mentality, for your own relationship with God. And I'm only going to mention this, but this is definitely a conversation I want to have in the future. For those that, you know, will give to receive a blessing from God, and then you think you receive a blessing from God, or those that use his name to fleece the flock, and, you know, you think that, hey, look, you know, we got what we wanted. Our thermometer is full, so on and so forth. We did it, right? God has blessed this. Satan he's an imitator. He can never do the things that God does, but he tries really hard to imitate him. He tries really, really hard to, put out the facade of what is. And I've told this to a lot of people, especially in ministry, where don't get it twisted. The devil can give with the likeness of a blessing. The devil can give you what you think is a blessing to your life. Like, hey, I want this job. God knows it's not for you, so God says no. But you continue and you continue and you continue to go. And then you finally get it and you think God gave in because God's so weak you were able to manipulate him into giving it to you. What you didn't realize is that the devil could give. And he gave because he knew the same thing God knew. And now you have this thing that you so-called call a blessing. And you love it and it's great. And next thing you know, hey, your relationship with God is taking a back seat because now you got to care for whatever it is. So don't think in any way that the devil doesn't give. Yes, he's here to lie, cheat, and destroy. Yeah, I know that. But sometimes getting what we want is just enough to get us away from God. And that is the goal. The goal of Satan is to get us to worship someone else. Satan doesn't even want us to worship him. He just doesn't want us to worship God. So we'll get more into that later, but this is what I want you guys to see in this whole guilt trip giving. You may get what you want, but don't put that on God. You can't do things like the devil, right? In the style of the devil, in his ways. You can't. And then expect that God is the one that rewarded you for doing it Satan's way. I don't know what God you serve, but my God is really big and he's super intelligent. He created all these things. He gave wisdom to the wisest man. He gave it to him, okay? I'm not messing with that. I'm not getting into that. And I'm not going to belittle his ways into the ways that we think. You think God had to guilt trip anyone into salvation? No. He is Alpha. He is Omega. He is most high, most powerful, omnipresent, omnipotent, omni-everything. Okay? You're playing with him, that majesty, that glory. I can't, I'm trying to put into words how big God is, and I cannot, because it is impossible with the human tongue. And you're playing with him. It's like for a lot of people to think about it, it's like you're in a school and you know that guy, you don't play with that guy, right? That guy will hurt you if he wants to. Right? But if you're cool with that guy, he'll give you the shirt off his back, like he's good people's. But don't play with him. Yeah, we play with God. Like if he's not bigger, we need to really start thinking. And again, guys, I hate when people use God's name to pervert it for their self-gain. So, guilt trip giving. For those of you that have never heard that term before, that's what it is. Or some of you have heard it and don't know what it is. That's what it is. When you use guilt in order to get what you want from a person. Doesn't always have to be just money. You don't know how many times as a mechanic, right? I'm a mechanic by trade. I don't do it anymore, but that's who I am. I fix cars. How many times people in the church would be like, Carlos, well, God gave you a gift so that you could serve others with this gift. Now come work on my car for free. Or come work on my car for 10 cents an hour. Or, hey, it's 3:00 in the morning. Let me call you so that you can come and do something for me. Which is funny. Because one of the guys that did that to me was asking me late night questions, coming here, hey, help me out here and there, pay me the minimum, right? And what he didn't know that at that time I had no job and no means of how to pay my family. Yet he guilted me into thinking I needed to do this because this is what God wanted. You know, God gave me this gift. And you know what? You could have actually been a blessing into my life. And maybe, you know, gave me an extra $20 so I can buy a little bit more food. You know, we're talking about years ago. Years ago. How many? And he wasn't the only one. There was a bunch of other people. Oh, you know, God made you this. I mean, listen, I went to a church where a lot of people didn't serve. And I'd always be guilted. And what would happen? I burnt out because I was there 7 days a week. You know, and then the time that they helped me, they threw it in my face as if that was the only, like, come on. Every other day was, oh, we don't have anyone to do this. Let's call Carlos. Hey, you know, we need an airport driver at this time. Yeah, let's call Carlos. And me, you know, because of what I was taught, I felt guilty that no one was doing it. So I volunteered for everything. Hey, we need someone to do this impossible task. Anyone? No? All right, I guess I'll do it. So it doesn't only have to do with money. It's using guilt to get what you want. And using God's name to guilt people. Sad day for those people when they go to and they stand before God. Because I don't see Jesus standing for that. I don't see Jesus saying, all right, I got that. And I see that as dangerous. And yeah, and listen, any sin people can repent from, and except blasphemy in the Holy Spirit. But anyways, anything can be forgiven if asked for forgiveness, if there's repentance and we turn away from any sin. Whew. Which is a conversation in itself again. Anyways, God bless you guys. Thanks for tuning in. I think the next one will be more uppity or upbeat or nicer or happy. I don't know. We'll see. God bless.
Thank you for dropping by. Please remember to subscribe, to share, like, and to catch the next one.